Welcome to the Transforming Assessment webinar series for the 5th of April. Today's session is on how to get student employability skills through the use of virtual field trips. And the presenters today are Anoop, Pierre, and Kayleen. So, Anoop, would you like to begin the session, please?
Right, thank you, Matthew. Good evening, and some of you it may be morning or afternoon. Welcome to virtual field trip of hospitality industry. And before I commence, if I may just quickly introduce some of the project team members represented from 4 universities in Australia. Myself, Pierre, Sandy, Richard Robinson, Jane, Hugh Wickens, Andy Lee, Edmund Go, Scott Richardson, and of course our project manager, Kayleen Woods. So let's make a start. And if I could just brief you about the agenda. So I will provide a brief background to the project. We'll briefly talk about authentic e-learning, project funding, and some of the aims. I will talk about some of the functionality and evaluation of virtual field trips. Application of authentic learning, and provide some examples of pedagogy and assessment tasks which we have adapted, and of course towards the end we will have Q&A, and we will look forward to your comments. So let's look at a bit of the background. The project started way back in 2013. And as we know that hospitality is a major generator of employment, and in Australia we have about 8% of the workforce which is engaged in hospitality related activities, and already there is a shortage of around about 38,000 qualified staff, and it is forecasted that by 2020, it will rise up to 123,000 employees. So, keeping this in mind, we need to make sure that employability is one of the major issues around in Australia and all around the world. That's everywhere you in the industry when you talk, they are talking about the shortage of qualified people. Now, what we see is that the most universities, particularly in Australia, no longer offer any practical labs to practice hospitality aspect. And also on top of that, the work integrated learning and internship type of programs have also been withdrawn. So students don't have any exposure to the real workings of the industry. And we are told constantly by the universities and by the government bodies that we need to really look at developing the employability skills of students who are graduating from the universities. So we have this challenge of merging theory and practice because simply with chalk and talk with the students is not enough to make them ready for the job of the future. So students need to have some exposure about the working industry. So another way is to take students to the industry on field trips and so on. But traditional field trips pose large challenges, especially to the universities where we have large classes. We find that timetables are very tight. Students may be finishing one lecture and within 5 minutes they are joining another lecture and so on. And also in some universities, the delivery of the lectures, the timing have been reduced from 13 to 12 weeks. So some of these issues have made somewhat difficult for academics to take students on actual field trips. And on top of that, when you take students to field trips, in our case, to the hotels and restaurants, the functioning, it is often very difficult to have 20, 30, 40, 50 students walking around the hotel where they're trying to look after their guests, and especially at the back of the house where they are busy in producing meals and doing all other operational tasks. And also, it becomes difficult to attract or to get some of the senior executives to come and make presentations to the students and discuss their roles and responsibilities, because it's very difficult to align all that. And then in the past, we did find some of those challenges. And of course, there are issues of occupational health and safety that which restricts academics from taking students on different venues, and of course in working environment within the businesses. So within what we find is that because of these reasons, way back in 2013-14, we decided to develop a virtual field trip, use technology. So rather than taking students to the hotels, bring the hotels into the classroom. And at that time, we had a meager $2,500 grant from Griffith University to take small camera crew in the hotel and to try to record some of the images and record some of the interviews. And then we brought back that into the university, and the multimedia put it together. So in other words, it was a very crude and cheap way of putting a virtual field trip together, but it did serve its purpose because we implemented that in food and beverage management course. And this also allowed us to collect some data in terms of to establish how students are receiving the virtual field trip and what impact it was having on their learning ability and their learning experiences, satisfaction, and so on. And we said that we collected some data on that, and so far we have already published 3 papers based on that piece of exercise. So once we had done that, we had yeah, so we try to align the authentic learning, and that's what I was being just talking about, that to bridge the gap and provide the reality to the students. And to fill the gap, we did that crude virtual field trip. And as I said, that with publishing those 3 articles, and we had this crude or a prototype of virtual field trip. And in 2014, a group of academics from 4 different universities got together, and we applied for this also learning teaching grant. And we were very fortunate in 2015 to receive this Category 1, which is a highly competitive grant in the amount of $273,000 Australian dollars. And we were quite fortunate as the success rate on that in that year was around 9%. So this grant amounted to $273,000 for a 2-year period, and our task was to develop and refine the virtual field trip developed by the Griffith University. So the one virtual field trip which we already had, we had to do a really quick makeover for that in order to start trialing out virtual field trip and start refining and developing our instrument. So the main aims of the project were to develop and trial the virtual field trips, develop and trial authentic learning pedagogies and assessment, identify document solutions to the challenge, evaluate virtual field trips and authentic learning practice, and encourage adoption of virtual field trips. So with that useful data which we already had, and the feedback from the students. And when we put in application for OT grant, we were to enhance the functionality of the virtual field trip and also expand the entire virtual field trip to multiple properties based in not only in Australia, but try to attract hotels from Hong Kong, from China, from London, and some of these hotels came a bit late on board, and those are not ready at this stage, but those are at presently being developed. So in terms of the functionality of the new virtual field trip, we introduced 360-degree virtual environment and arrows to indicate it is an important, it is a panoramic image. There are icons indicating the videos and text, and the whole the functionality of the virtual field trip was expanded from explore to compare functions and so on. And what I would like to do is to show you some of the features of virtual field trip. And we would love to show you the live virtual field trip, but apparently the streaming is slow and messy. So what I'll do is I have some screenshots. I will talk through those screenshots and explain the functionality and the features. And there is a link there, and at your leisure time, you can access the virtual field trip and visit different parts of different hotels and their features. So the beauty with the new virtual field trip is that it can be accessed through smartphone, through tablet, through PCs, and students can access at any place of the choice in their own freedom. They have the freedom to launch to their desire, and this has made the whole function of the virtual field trip very flexible. And the students really like that, because even in the lecture theaters where you have 100, 200 students sitting, you can get them to take their smartphones out, and they simply log on and they are into the virtual environment. So if I move on to the next, as soon as I enter the URL and enter, it lands me onto the virtual field trip website homepage, and the homepage looks like this. And when you log on, you will see some of these images. They float every 10-20 seconds, and it starts giving idea of the properties, businesses which are part of the virtual field trip. Then you see that there are various tabs on the top row. The first one, we are in the home page, and it provides a brief description about the project, and there is a tab which indicates launch, and as soon as you hit that tab, it launches the virtual field trip. But before we launch that, if I could just explain that the next tab is regarding the resources. And under the resources, we are still building these resources for the students, and currently we have different tools which students can use to design their kitchens and restaurants, and of course they have a lot of the workshop activities, as well as they have projects where they have to design restaurants and so on. There are also various tools available under resources which help students to gain a deeper knowledge about wines. There are tools there which can help students pair food and wine and so on. And in fact, there are certain other courses also available where students can log on and learn more about wines and so on. And so as we develop the virtual field trip further, we will build more and more resources, and eventually we will have two sections on resources. One will be restricted resources for instructors only, where there will be a lot of guides and solutions will be available for the instructors, and then there will be other resources for the students to use, and students can access all the information at their leisure. Then we have another tab which is sustainability, and when we were developing the virtual field trip, we worked very closely with a sustainability consulting firm called EarthCheck, and as soon as you go into the sustainability tab, there are a number of case studies which EarthCheck has donated to us, so students can view those. It provides a direct link to EarthCheck's website, and there's also a about 20 minutes interview with the Chief Executive Officer of EarthCheck, who's talking about the sustainability and the practices and how they work with organizations to implement sustainable practices. Then we have another tab which is about events, and it has got information about some of the conferences and events where we have presented our virtual field trip. Then the next one is about participants, and it's got information about all the participating hotels and restaurants and the wineries and so on. And it also has information about their web links and so on. And then the last link is about, and it has got information about all the project members. It's got information about the multimedia team who is supporting the background, developing the whole virtual field trip, and then the competitors. So students are already, as I said, is using the virtual field trip, and the early feedback which they're providing, that they're finding the resources and information available through sustainability links, that they're finding it very useful. Now, if I hit onto the launch, that takes me into the next page, and all the hotels and restaurants which are participated in our virtual field trip are located here. And as soon as we enter one of the double click onto any of these files, that takes us into the particular hotel's SWOT. So my slide takes us to the Intercontinental Hotel, and you see that it lands onto the lobby at this, but eventually it lands into the entrance of the hotel, and as if students, you're taking a bunch of students to physical field trip, but instead of taking physically, it is walking through a camera and videos and so on. So once you land into the hotel page, there is this icon, so you press that, and it provides information about instructions, and this round, the circle arrow appears, and so if you hover it around and drag, it just moves the location of the hotel location from one part to the other. So in other words, you're able to see a big portion of the entire lobby, or you can see the entire portion of the whole restaurant, the bar, or the kitchen, and so on. And then the next one is about the navigation. So there are two ways to navigate from, let's say, from lobby to the restaurant or to the kitchen, through going through some of these green arrows, or we have also put in some of the quick links, and students can move on to the quick links straight from one part of the hotel to the other. Then also over here you see some of the details about the hotels, and on the home page all the interviews are posted, and students are able to listen to the interview. So in this case, the general manager of the hotel has given an interview, the executive chef, the director of purchasing, and so on. And as soon as you hit there, you see the video of the interview, these managers are talking about their career paths, they're discussing their roles and responsibilities, and students are able to listen to the hotels from all different brands, all different locations, and understand the philosophy of running a hotel and what are their strategies and so on. So what we have seen is that the virtual field trip is a very live, ongoing tool, and also, if I may just add that these red camera symbols, as soon as these are clicked, it brings a series of images, and these images are focusing on some of the key factors in terms of the design of a hotel or restaurant. Is talking about the layout and all the other features which are taught within part of the food and beverage management, and we provide a brief script, and also it allows students to visit these images and draw comparisons and so on. So what I might do is to move on to the next set of slides, and these slides basically focus on the evaluation of virtual field trips. And what we have here is that as the grant was received in middle of 2015, and it was a fairly large task to go and convince a number of hotels, not only in Australia but overseas as well, to participate in this exercise. So that quite a bit of time, and of course you have to go and capture all the footage. The footage has to be edited, scripted, and then the multimedia team had to put that into the virtual field trip. So while this was going on the side, we wanted to start a plan for the instruments to evaluate the virtual field trip. And so what we did was, in 2015, we started to develop and refine the survey, and started to modify the existing 2 hotels which we had. So the multimedia team, they went to those 2 hotels, they took some 360-degree shots, and they did a little bit of cosmetic exercise to those, and in 2016 we were able to implement those prototype virtual field trip into courses in 3 partner universities and 3 of the 4 partner universities. And this also allowed us to do the pre and post surveys with the students and collect this very useful data, and at the same time refine the instrument as well. In 2017, in semester 1, actually that should read as semester 1, there's a typo. So it should be semester 1, and we have already implemented the full-fledged virtual field, and we have already collected the pre-survey data, and towards the end of the semester we'll be collecting the post-survey data, and in the next few slides I will discuss a little bit more detail in terms of what kind of task students are undertaking and what else is going on. So the next slide basically provides details about the constructs which we have used in collecting the data in our surveys. And as we have already collected that in the pilot stage, what I would like to do is perhaps share some of the open-ended questions, feedback from students, and so the qualitative, some of the quantitative, the data is still under analysis stage, and that will be undertaken towards the end of the semester. So if I may move on to the next slide, and this is some of the information which I would like to share with you, and some of the open-ended questions which we asked during the pilot stage. And we asked students about the skills they expected to attain before they started the virtual field trips. That was the start of the semester. And then towards the end of the semester, they were given another survey where they were asked, again, similar kind of question, that what skills do they attain after completing course and the virtual field trip. And you can see that that the things which sort of came out at the early pre-survey and came out in the final survey really matched up. And some of the early data telling us, the expectations really met, and they actually got more skills out of the virtual field trip than in fact what they really anticipated. And if you look at the next slide reports about the knowledge they expected to gain before they started virtual field trip. And you can see that the words like restaurants and operations, hotels, the menus and so on, these things really, quite in a significant manner. So this information which we gathered, it allowed us to not only refine the virtual field trip, the one which we designed, but we also refined our instrument as well. Moving on from some of this, the data which we collected and analyzed, I would like to just share some of the authentic learning application which we undertook. Towards the end of last year, all partner universities, research members, team members got together, and we did curriculum mapping and considered the authentic learning. And so we looked at the program learning goals. In terms of, we had looked at the communication, develop communication among students, problem solving, industry knowledge, and employment skills. Looking at some of the learning objectives, we organized objectives in terms of allowing students to contrast different types of food and beverage outlets found in different hotels. So at the moment we have 7 hotels. We have 4 restaurants on the virtual field trips. The students have been looking at these hotels and walking and looking at what different type of food and beverage outlets there are in different brand of hotels in different countries. And by reviewing this information, the next sort of objective we proposed was to propose a suitable concept for a hotel restaurant. So one of the assessment items is that students have to design additional food and beverage outlet in any of the local hotels. So the students studying in Brisbane, they look at a local hotel in Brisbane. Students studying in Gold Coast, they take the Gold Coast hotel, and they have to do propose a concept for a new additional food and beverage outlets, and so they provided a detailed brief. And then eventually what they have to do is, among other objectives, they have to develop and plan a new restaurant for a hotel. And in terms of learning teaching activities, the elements of virtual field trip is very well integrated into each topic. So each week when the topic is delivered in the lecture, it is related back to the virtual field trip. So for example, if we're talking about different types of food and beverage outlets found in the hotel. So say to students, okay, let's go into the virtual field trip and, for example, look at one hotel, and ask students to go and look at other hotels in their own time, and then they come back in their workshops tutorial and the other exercises where students have to sit and walk through a lot of these exercises with their tutor. So the elements of virtual, they're integrated into all all the lectures and into seminars and workshops. And so what that does is, it supports the theory and practice and allows you to see that in real working organizations, how they manage the food and beverage operation. Now, in terms of the assessment, they have regular quizzes in their workshops, and they're very small mark is allocated for the student participation throughout the semester. Then also at the very early part of the semester, so at in Griffith University, in week 4 of the semester, students, so they have 3 weeks to prepare and come up with a concept for their proposed restaurant, and they have to justify what type of restaurant they're going to propose, and they have to justify the reason why they're proposing. So they need to do a SWOT analysis and market analysis and so on, and they have to virtually convince the owners of the hotel that the concept they are proposing is what is going to really work. And so it's an ideal situation. So this allows, because the students who get the proposal perfect, so they get on to the next stage of the project. But unfortunately, there are some students who misunderstand or misinterpret the brief. So then it allows the lecturer and the tutor to consult with those students and put them on the right track. So we did find about 10% of the students who were completely off track. So, but it was we were able to bring them back on track, and it's an excellent situation that students have only lost a opportunity of a 5% of the assessment because it was small assessment, but it gave students a very timely sort of feedback and put them on the right track. And then other assessment is the development for a restaurant business plan, and towards the end of the semester they also do a small piece of work where they have to do the reflections of the learning experience of the virtual field trip. So we feel that it satisfies all the authentic learning the aspects. And if you look at the next slides, these are some of the assessment tasks which are conducted in the course. For example, to conduct a SWOT analysis of 2 or more hotels, develop a concept plan for food and beverage outlet, and students have done a presentation of those. They plan out a la carte menus, they design the menus, they design a layout and flow of the restaurants. They try to create ambience in their restaurants. And then in terms of these things, not only that they're doing this thing, but they are generating a discussion and relating a lot of research and reflecting on the practices which are used in the existing hotels. And they submit this 3,000-word report for their assessment. And the other items which are included here, those are related to the quality systems and service recovery strategies. There are aspects of sustainability which they have to embed in the entire operation, and the information of these last 2 points are embedded into the interviews with the senior executives in the hotels. These are embedded in the resources which are led by the Earth Check about sustainability. So students have the ton of information at his disposal, and then of course they have a lot of access to the research articles and journal articles to compose the final report, which is fairly comprehensive and authentic. So what we have done so far is the plan for 2017 and 18. Now what we've done, we have already undertaken the curriculum mapping exercises. and and also looked at the pedagogy and assessment, which I discussed just now. We have implemented the virtual field trip in 4 partner institutions, and we have already undertaken the pre-testing of the surveys in all the partner universities, and we are quite fortunate that at one of the universities we are offering this course face-to-face as well as through OUA, Open University Australia, and we also offer same course in Hong Kong in intensive mode. So the implementation of virtual field trip is implemented in courses which are offered in all different shape and form, and we have collected data, and it's going to give us very useful data and information in terms of students learning and so on. So what we, as I said, we have already undertaken a lot of these tasks, and what it will do is once we have implemented, completed the project this semester, is going to allow us to go and further refine the curriculum and pedagogy assessments and so on. All the partner universities are arranging their assessments and curriculum in slightly different ways. So we will have a number of different cases available to be made available to universities and colleges who wish to adapt the virtual field trip. And once this is done, of course, till the end of the semester, we are going to have the post-test, and then we are also going to undertake some focus group interviews with students, and we'll have a rich data to analyze. And once we have completed all that, as I said, our next job will be to encourage the universities, not only in Australia but overseas universities and the further education colleges to adapt virtual field trips in their hospitality programs, and we will be doing showcasing in different parts of Australia and presenting the virtual field trip in various conferences and so on to make academics aware of this particular tool which is going to be available. So thank you very much for listening to my presentation. It was a little bit rushed. I must apologize, but we have enough time now, so please get in touch if you would like any further information. But in the meantime, we can have some discussion, some comments, feedback from our audience.
Hi folks, this is Matthew. If you'd like to ask a question via the microphone, you're welcome to just put up your virtual hand using the little hand up symbol. I was also wondering, since we actually have quite a bit of time left, I'm wondering if Kayleen would like to do a screen sharing, a bit of a demo, and so that we can see how that would run. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea.
Okay.
So, but yeah. What's to try.
Okay, Kayleen, would you like to fire that up with the screen share?
Well, so I'll just open up to our web page home screen to start off with. So maybe, Pierre, if you can tell me once everything loads up from your end, I can move on from there. Otherwise, I'll be probably...
Yeah, so it's fine. What's happening is that when these images are floating, so they are, rather than floating, they are just overlapping and coming along. So it is open, so if you want to move on.
So can I just interject? There was something about how do people contact us. So on the About tab there that should have come up, there's the Contact Us section, and we are working on having an instructor-only section in the resource so that your students can see different things, and you as instructors would have access to some of the tools and resources that our team are already using. So that's my little plug. But then going to launch the virtual field.
Before we launch, Kayleen, we might hit the resources and just point out.
Yep.
So as you can see that we're building some of these resources. We have tools to draw restaurants and kitchens. There are menu design tools. There are pairing food and wine tools. And as the time goes, we will build these resources to further. Yeah. So anything interesting we come across, we will keep adding here. Yeah, and I think we can, yeah, so sustainability. Yeah, so there is a direct link to USCheck organization. There are a number of case studies which are listed down here. And there is an interview with Stuart Moore, CEO of USCheck. Goes for about 20 odd minutes. And we can go and perhaps launch the virtual field trip and
and something interesting on this page that I know is the titles come up in a different order every time,
right.
so there's no favoritism.
That's right. So we want to keep all our partners happy. So we don't want to give a top hotspot to any one particular hotel. So these keep changing. So if you like to, Kayleen, just enter one of the hotels and
You have a favorite? Now we
oh,
said that.
Prof hotel, the local hotel.
Yep. That wasn't planned.
Yeah. So see, you can back and show some of the 360 degree. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but
I think the 360 is where we're going to. You can see the little circular arrows showed up there. So if we can actually, hopefully,
drag.
Drag it.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be very slow.
That's where it's going to stall on us.
Yeah.
So perhaps better to go to one of the arrows, which we just open straight into.
Yeah. So that'll take
you
you.
to a different room.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if individuals can log on using the URL, they will find that it is much faster and much more enjoyable. Okay.
Is it too slow? Shall we exit, or do you want to look at something else?
I think that this gives a sort of a good idea. Maybe just one of the camera icon and see if some interesting images pop up.
And of course, if there are more than one photo, there's a little album of them on each camera.
So by visiting these hotel sites, give students a good idea about the design layout and how the emphasis is created in the restaurants, and you can compare some of the all-day dining buffet type of restaurants versus fine dining restaurants and so on. They can look at the hotels in Australia and compare the hotels with Hong Kong, China, and eventually they'll be able to have a look at the hotel in London. They'll be able to look at independent restaurants and also in the process of including couple of wineries, one from Queensland and one from Western Australia in Swan Valley. When it's completely done, we will have a vast range of hospitality businesses included. So I think it is a sort of a good idea about the virtual field trip in terms of some of the features. And then there are interviews. I don't know how those interviews will go, but those interviews go anything from 10 minutes to 15 minutes, and perhaps individuals can have a look through or watch the interviews. And we have also compiled a lot of documents which provide the summary of interviews, so the instructors can look at that, because every hotel, every manager has got different experiences, they have different things to share. So those are highlighted. If a convener wants to talk about, say for example, the pre-opening of a hotel, what's involved in that. So we know that the general manager from Kempinski Hotel in Beijing, he spent a lot of time talking about pre-opening, so we can direct, and instructors can direct students to go straight into that area. Similarly, what we see on the screen about the menus. So these menus are directly linked to the websites of those hotels, so students can go and look at and evaluate, compare menus from different outlets in the hotel. They can compare one brand of hotels against the other. They can look at menus of a hotel restaurants versus independent restaurants and so on. Yeah, so it provides a lot of excellent context and provides real authentic learning experience to the students.
It's also impossible to get lost in the site because the quick link at the side will always tell you where you are, and you can go back to wherever you need to be. And at the top on the left-hand side here is the cookie trail, breadcrumb trail, some words like that, to say how you got to where you went to.
Yeah, and when we started the semester, what we done is we have developed a very simple basic instructions and a very short video, which is also posted on the Blackboard for the student to access. And as we progress into the project, we will refine that instructions and a manual to navigate and to embed the virtual field trip into the teaching. And those resources will be available to all educational institutions to adapt their teaching. I think what we may do is, see if any participant has any question or any comment. I know there's a lot of information which is being scripted. Although I haven't been reading that, but I'll read that later on. But if there is any comment anyone wishes to share, or perhaps Pierre, who's been moderating this discussion, wants to make any overall comment.
Yeah, I've been answering the questions as people have put them up. I don't think there's anything else that's come out of the chat discussion stage, Anoop.
Yeah, all right. Right, okay.
Someone's asked a question about the one icon that was jumping around. It's attractive. I think they jiggle around when you get close to them, I believe.
Yeah, I think the system is running slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. If there's an issue then in the connection, sometimes it takes longer. But what I find is when I'm in the university and I click on these, it just opens up straight away. But certainly if there are weak connection, sometimes it just jumps up and down and takes a bit of time to open up.
I think Paul might have been referring to the little photograph, little red icon. On one of the pictures, it was sort of jiggling from side to side rapidly. So,
well, I think it was because I had my cursor when I hover over.
All right.
there it is.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It indicates it's a live link right past. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So if there are, sorry.
Anoop, how long would you spend at each site to get all the images and the content for each hotel?
You mean when I'm navigating in the classroom?
No, when you're actually capturing all the content to put onto the virtual field trip. How long did you spend at each of the hotels?
Oh, it took quite a bit of time because once the hotel property agreed to participate, we would spend virtually whole day. So only we will go and just get familiar with the operation, and the next day we will go perhaps 8 in the morning, and from 8 up to maybe 1 or 2 o'clock, we will be capturing the videos and still images and PCT images, and then the later afternoons usually set aside for recording interviews, and these interviews range anything between 2 to 4 or 5 managers, and so you say that was a solid 1 day in capturing the footage, and once that is brought in, then it takes anything weeks and months with the multimedia team to do the editing, and there's a lot of backwards and forwards in terms of scripting and selecting the right images and putting in the right sequence. So last 10 months we've been trying to package all these non-tech properties which we have, and as I was saying earlier, we still have 3 more businesses which are about ready to be plugged in. They won't be ready for this semester, but towards the end of the semester it will be ready. So the institutions that wish to use the virtual field trip, and in the park institution from Blue Mountains, they run on 3 semesters, so they offer the right courses in semester 2 as well, so they will have opportunity to implement the next version of virtual field trip. But unfortunately, the other 3 partner institutions do not offer the right courses till semester 1, 2018.
And this one that I put on the screen now, Ariba, that one's quite a good story, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, if I may just add that, because when we were finding various partners to participate, and we came across one of a Griffith graduate who left about 3 years ago, and he opened his own restaurant in Brisbane. And this is his restaurant, Ariba, Italian restaurant, and apparently within the 2 years of its opening, it has already won several awards for quality food and service. And we were fortunate to go into that restaurant and capture some of the aspects of the restaurant, and it also provides us an opportunity to talk to our students and tell them that there's another avenue for them, that rather than working in hotels and restaurants, they can open their own business if they have the capital to invest. So it's a small restaurant, but very well run, and we have dined in a restaurant while we were filming, and I can assure you the quality food was excellent and really superb. And the owner has already plans to expand and open multiple restaurants within Brisbane locations. And we are very proud of this restaurant and our graduates.
And if we might have a question from Paul.
Yeah. Hello, Paul.
Hi, how's it going? Love presentation, that was great. I've got a couple of queries, two. One, do you have, when you register students into this and they're learning about the sites, are you asking them to basically enter through the front door and discover what they can, or do you give them a plan to go through the hotel to look at every items?
There is a plan. So in the first week in the introductory lecture, there is given an overview of the virtual field trips and provided a guide. And then each week, there are activities in the lecture and in the tutorials designed for students to go into certain aspects. For example, one of the week we discussed planning and designing menus. So in the tutorial, students are given exercise to go and compare two hotel menus and evaluate. They were also given a menu, and they were asked to prepare the wines to go with that menu. And, as we've seen that under resources we have certain tools, so students were able to download those tools and were able to use that menu and pair the wines and describe the wines which will go suitable with particular food and so on. So they had the practice on that, and then when they do the project, they have to design their own restaurant and their own menus, and then they will use those tools to discuss and do all their submission for their project. So, in other words, for every lecture activity, activities are designed where students do a little bit of work in the lecture itself to keep them engaged, then they do a little bit more details in the tutorials, and then they go in their own time and work towards the project. In other words, they have 3 shots about some of the aspects.
Brilliant. My second question is something we see here in the Territory fairly often, which is that the hotels and the restaurants will often change hands very quickly, which means they also change how they actually run very quickly. In addition, of course, management staff has quite a turnover as well. Has it been running long enough that you've had one of the participants say, no, we no longer want to be portrayed in that manner?
Well, I'll give you an example. For example, if you look at the Sofitel, Emery Burley, she was a resident manager in business Sofitel. And as soon as we launched this, she was promoted to a general manager on the Gold Coast. So, well, it doesn't really matter because she has reported at that point in time. And also, I found that the general manager from the Intercontinental Bay has moved on. But I think these are sort of dynamics of the industry. We will see that. So at the moment, most of the stuff is sort of gathered in 2016, so it's still pretty, fresh. But yes, we are mindful of this fact that things can outdate very rapidly. And some of the other thing, if I may add, is if we look at the Marriott on the Gold Coast, when we filmed, they had a particular bar, and recently what they've done is they have moved that bar in different location, and in that part of that, they have launched Marriott Club, and it's the same concept as a timeshare, and they're using that to launch that product. So I think, as I said, that's dynamics of the industry, and what we need to perhaps keep this in mind that, and we have discussed in our meetings, and our evaluator has also pointed out that once this project is completed, what will happen after that life of the project to keep this going and to keep updating the stuff. Yeah, so this is something which we have to discuss with as you know, the OLT does not exist now, but we are dealing with a department in Canberra, so we're going to discuss with them, and each partner institution, with the members we'll have a discussion with their deputy vice chancellors and then try to put to them that how can we keep this going and keep it to as fresh as possible. But to do that, it requires some funds.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
Okay, first, we're actually at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Australian Time, so that's our 1 hour up. So what I'd like to do now is quickly just return to the slides. We've got the OLT virtual field trips email at the Griffith University there. So please send the team a message if you'd like to know more through that medium. But also, if you'd kindly fill in our survey, which I'll just post the link to. Here we go, link. There we go, it's in the text chat. This stuff keeps us alive, so as you all know, we're all in education. Feedback is the lifeblood. So please kindly fill in our feedback form. Otherwise, you may continue to type comments into the text chat as you please. Paul, recording, hopefully next week. Let's just see how I get to it. No worries. Okay, so Anoop, etc. Kayleen, Pierre, would you like to, any last minutes before we shut off the recording?
Yeah, I would just like to thank all participants, and if there are any participants who are in the hospitality industry, hospitality education, please get in touch with us, and we can provide you all the links and all the information, support material, if you would like to implement in your programs. Or if you know somebody who would utilize this tool, we'll be more than happy to provide the details. Thank you very much for listening.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll see you all again back next month. So I'm going to stop the recording. Bye-bye all.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.